Let's start. MTC 2018. Notice. Notice. Estimate. Estimate. Participate in. Participate in. Opportunity. Opportunity. Look forward to. Look forward to. Best regards. Best regards. Be far from. Be far from. Wildlife. Wildlife. Exotic. Exotic. Slid into. Slid into. Slide into. Bay. Bay. Canal. Canal. Mangroves. Mangroves. Alongside. Alongside. Lizards. Lizards. Adventure. Adventure. Exclaimed. Exclaimed. Exclaim. Summit. Summit. Guarantee. Guarantee. At risk. At risk. Step out of. Step out of. Comfort zone. Comfort zone. Challenge. Challenge. Conventional. Conventional. Innovate. Innovate. Leadership. Leadership. Require. Require. Internal. Internal. Status quo. Status quo. Venture. Venture. Beyond the boundaries. Beyond the boundaries. Current. Current. At the edges. At the edges. At a company retreat. At a company retreat. Put in. Put in. At one particular retreat. At one particular retreat. Maximum. Maximum. Have in motion. Have in motion. Demonstrate. Demonstrate. Concerned. Concerned. Deliver. Deliver. Ultimately. Ultimately. Delegation. Delegation. Sensory specific. Sensory specific. Satiety. Satiety. Is defined as. Is defined as. Appetite. Appetite. Subjective. Subjective. A variety of. A variety of. Overeat. Overeat. Motivation. Motivation. Apparent. Apparent. Dessert card. Dessert card. Sensory properties. Sensory properties. Intake. Intake. Hedonic ratings. Hedonic ratings. Intellectual property. Intellectual property. Heirs. Heirs. Copyright status. Copyright status. Legislation. Legislation. Copyright Term Extension Act. Copyright Term Extension Act. Defend. Defend. Impoverished. Impoverished. Descendants. Descendants. Beneficiaries. Beneficiaries. Beneficiary. Transnational. Transnational. Dual. Dual. Reasonable. Reasonable. Outdated. Outdated. Be incorporated into. Be incorporated into. Frustrate. Frustrate. Endeavors. Endeavors. Lyrics. Lyrics. Ethical. Ethical. Produce. Produce. Corresponding type. Corresponding type. Rainforest Alliance. Rainforest Alliance. Fair trade. Fair trade. Vegetarian meat alternatives. Vegetarian meat alternatives. Celebrated. Celebrated. Hold the distinction of. Hold the distinction of. Unrivaled. Unrivaled. Access. Access. Granted. Granted. Backstage access. Backstage access. Historic. Historic. Vivid. Vivid. Iconic. Iconic. Imagery. imagery, career, career, volleyball, volleyball, is hosting, host, brief, brief, participants, participants, individual, individual, strategies, strategies, participation fee, participation fee, charity, charity, donation, donation, registration, registration, safety instruction, safety instruction, comfortable, comfortable, sunscreen, sunscreen, refreshments, refreshments, psychologists, psychologists, substantial, substantial, amounts, amounts, charities, charities, positive, positive, impact, impact, evidence, evidence, indicate, indicate, warm glow givers, warm glow givers, regardless of, or less, is likely to, exceed, exceed, benefit, benefit, processing the donation, processing the donation, prominent, prominent, archaeologists, archaeologists, treasure hunters, treasure hunters, accumulate, accumulate, cooperate with, cooperate with, tomb robbers, tomb robbers, shipwrecked, shipwrecked, artifacts, artifacts, on the contrary, on the contrary, assistance, assistance, Institute of Nautical Archaeology, Institute of Nautical Archaeology, a decade of, 10, year-round, year-round, conservation, conservation, catalog, catalog, excavate, excavate, interpret, interpret, finds, finds, creator, creator, comic strips, comic strips, dramatically, dramatically, cartooning, cartooning, the host of the show, the host of the show, cartoonist, cartoonist, handwritten, handwritten, rejections, rejections, rejection, discouraged, discouraged, got inspired, got inspired, get inspired, submit, submit, materials, materials, career, career, encouragement, encouragement, stuck with, stick with, obviously, obviously, apocalypse now, apocalypse now, popularity, popularity, adaptation, adaptation, heart of darkness, heart of darkness, incidental, incidental, fundamental, fundamental, narrative, narrative, central character, central character, spiritual, spiritual, confront, confront, deranged, deranged, aspects, aspects, civilization, civilization, contemporary, contemporary, release, release, audiences, audiences, identify, identify, literal adaptation, literal adaptation, I bet, right cue, right cue, file away, file away, compete for, not necessarily, not necessarily, the right hook, unique, unique, pull out of, pull out of, agriculture, agriculture, decline, decline, typical, typical, vest, vest, majority, majority, incapable of, incapable of, production, production, at the expense of, at the expense of, staple, staple, crop, crop, maize, maize, peasant, peasant, sufficient, sufficient, amount, amount, essential, essential, argument, argument, the capitalist mode of production, the capitalist mode of production, mechanical processes, mechanical processes, set apart, set apart, species, species, surrender, surrender, supposedly, supposedly, permanent, permanent, identity, identity, crisis, crisis, continually, continually, what humans are good for, what humans are good for, tool makers, tool makers, moral ethicists, moral ethicists, irony, irony, utilitarian, utilitarian, productivity, productivity, economics of abundance, economics of abundance, arrival, arrival, artificial intelligence, artificial intelligence, humanity, humanity, context, context, media literacy, media literacy, argue, argue, aware of, acquire, acquire, reinforce, reinforce, with regard to, peer-to-peer, peer-to-peer, bullying, bullying, element, element, basic principle, basic principle, accumulate, accumulate, a golden rule, a golden rule, consequences, consequences, potential, potential, environment, environment, hence, hence, awareness, awareness, characteristics, characteristics, seemingly, seemingly, trivial, trivial, crucial, crucial, consumer magazines, consumer magazines, subscriptions, subscriptions, advertising, advertising, account for, circulation, circulation, objectivity, objectivity, revenue, revenue, typically, typically, single issues, single issues, insert, insert, distribute, distribute, professional, professional, specialized, specialized, associations, associations, feature, feature, targeted, targeted, biological, biological, phenomenon, phenomenon, moral implications, moral implications, contract, contract, influenza, influenza, attribute to, mother-in-law, mother-in-law, relatives, relatives, tribesman, tribesman, vital, vital, primitive community, primitive community, sanction, sanction, misbehavior, misbehavior, pillars, pillars, order, order, take over, take over, supernaturalistic, supernaturalistic, prevailing, prevailing, moral offenses, moral offenses, individual, individual, deficiency, deficiency, evolve, evolve, preferences, preferences, hunter-gatherers, hunter-gatherers, caloric, caloric, infants, infants, toxins, toxins, adaptively, adaptively, adjust, adjust, deficits, deficits, likewise, likewise, intake, intake, deplete, deplete, specific, specific, evolved, evolved, mechanisms, mechanisms, adaptive, adaptive, coordinate, coordinate, consumption, consumption, postulate, postulate, contamination, contamination, airborne, airborne, remote, remote, power plants, power plants, municipal, municipal, slash, incinerator, incinerator, incident, incident, alert to, organic, organic, mercury, mercury, discharge, discharge, the waters, the waters, harbor, harbor, commercial, commercial, bioaccumulate, bioaccumulate, tissue, tissue, neurological, neurological, symptoms, symptoms, subsequently, subsequently, prevention, prevention, recognize, recognize, traces, traces, strictly controlled, strictly controlled, emission standards, emission standards, minimize, minimize, advisories, advisories, issue, issue, recommend, recommend, interaction, interaction, pre-selected, pre-selected, available, available, encounters, encounters, a wide variety of, a wide variety of, concentrate on, concentrate on, electronic, electronic, preprints, preprints, physicists, physicists, devote, devote, receptive, receptive, facilitate, facilitate, voluntary, voluntary, homogeneous, homogeneous, overwhelming, overwhelming, tendency, tendency, overfilter, overfilter, eliminate, eliminate, diversity, diversity, circulate, circulate, diminish, diminish, frequency, frequency, radically, radically, archives, archives, available, available, emulate, emulate, efficiently, efficiently, predictable, predictable, shelf search, shelf search, extensive, extensive, be engaged in, be engaged in, probable, probable, findings, findings, murder, murder, murderer, murderer, rage, rage, extreme, extreme, octogenarian, octogenarian, 80, humiliated, humiliated, humiliation, humiliation, circumstances, circumstances, totally, totally, consciously, consciously, dramatize, dramatize, incidents, incidents, desperate, desperate, laborer, laborer, protagonist, protagonist, complicated, complicated, makeup, makeup, incorporate, incorporate, aspects, aspects, quick temper, quick temper, apply, apply, take advantage of, take advantage of, insider, insider, objectivity, objectivity, control, control, intense, intense, by definition, by definition, election, election, congratulate, congratulate, disappointment, disappointment, apologetically, apologetically, damage, damage, respond, respond, reply, reply, for life, for life, spot, spot, nomination, nomination, clear one throat, clear one throat, register, register, flat tire, flat tire, pull over, pull over, ruin, ruin, atmosphere, atmosphere, apologize, apologize, MTC, good job.